Hello, my friends and fellow evildoers. I'm Jason from MetalPatchesVinyl.com, and today we are going to do a Skeletonwitch album retrospective and ranking. Why Skeletonwitch? Well, number one, because they're awesome. But number two, because Skeletonwitch is a band that gives me hope. Every time I feel like I might be a little burned out on music listening, I pop in one of their records and I'm reminded of the enthusiasm that I have had over the years for really great music made very well and made with someone like me in mind. If you're a fan of thrash metal or black metal or just albums that are comprised of 3-minute rippers, I mean, this is a catalog that you can really get on board with. So let's start from the beginning. 2004's At One with the Shadows. Now this album's out of print. I get the feeling from the band that they kind of aren't very proud of this. Maybe they want it to go away. It's the album of which we do not speak. But this is a great record. The production is admittedly pretty raw, but that's kind of part of its charm. If you come from a background of early 90s black metal and want to get a good introduction to this band, I'd actually recommend this. It has some of their legendary great songs. Skull Splitter, Vengeance Will Be Mine, Baptized in Flames, Tragedy of Days. I mean, these are great songs, and you really get a flavor of what the band would become. They re-recorded many of these songs on a subsequent album, and we'll get to that in a second. But if you can somehow find a copy of At One with the Shadows, buy it immediately. Ask questions later. You'll be glad you have it because you just can't find it anymore. In 2006, they made an EP. This is a 10-inch called Worship the Witch. And it has Beyond the Permafrost, Fire from the Sky, Feast Upon Flesh, and Forever in the Abyss. Again, a little bit raw production here. Each one of these songs is a ripper. They're fantastic. Artwork, I mean, it's wonderful. All right, here we go. Many people consider this to be their favorite Skeletonwitch album. I think I agree. This is called Beyond the Permafrost. It's got just wonderful album cover artwork, and it really sets the tone for what you're about to hear, which is basically better produced version of At One with the Shadows. The songs on here are fantastic. Baptized in Flames, Vengeance Will Be Mine, Cast into the Open Sea, Fire from the Sky, Soul Thrashing, Black Sorcery, Feast Upon Flesh, Within My Blood. Each one of these songs is like a 2 to 3.5 minute ripper. Each side is fantastic to listen to. I mean, you can just play this over and over again and just doesn't get old. I love this album so much. Try it, find it. Next up, Breathing the Fire. Now, this is actually the first Skeletonwitch album that I ever listened to. I went to a record store, saw this sitting there. The name of the band was, kind of vaguely familiar to me, but I loved the album artwork on this, and I thought, well, I'm going to do a blind buy, see what this band is all about. And I loved it. This is like a logical extension of Beyond the Permafrost. The song styles are kind of the same, a little bit more intense. I mean, same kind of feel and everything, but it has its own flavor and character. It's a great album. If you love Beyond the Permafrost, you'll love Breathing the Fire. Track names here stand out: Submit to the Suffering, Stand, Fight, and Die, The Despoiler of Human Life, Gorge Upon My Soul, Strangled by Unseen Hands, and Into the Flame. I mean, they just don't let up off the gas pedal. It's just a ripper from beginning to end. Fantastic record. Breathing the Fire. Okay, here we go. Next up, Forever Abomination. This is if I had to rank them, and I will, this would probably be at the bottom of my list, not because it's not good, but because it, more than any of the other albums, kind of has a samey feel across all the songs. It kind of lacks its own identity. It's still a lot of fun to listen to. In fact, I think one of the change in directions here was a little bit more emphasis on harmony and melody. It's got some great songs on here. Opening track is exceptional. This Horrifying Force, The Desire to Kill, Um, the Infernal Resurrection is fantastic. But the tracks amongst themselves kind of lack an identity. It's a little bit like a repeat of the same good song over and over again. They would do better on their next release, which is Serpents Unleashed. This is the last album with their original vocalist Chance Garnett, and this one's fantastic. So standout tracks here: Beneath Dead Leaves, I Am of Death, Unending, Ever Living, This Evil Embrace, and More Cruel Than Weak. Again, keeping with the Skeletonwitch template, it's a barn burner set of rippers from beginning to end. Excellent. You got to check this out. After they made a change in vocalists, they brought in Adam Clemens, and they put out an EP called the Apothic Gloom. And you can tell right away that there's a different Skeletonwitch here. The songs are longer, more exploratory, a little bit more like a melodic black metal album. And for me, that's great. I love melodic black metal, and I love epic long black metal songs. So this change in direction suited me just fine. It was almost like there's a different band altogether. It just happens to be a band I love just as much. The Aplastic Gloom, 4 songs. The Apothic Gloom, Well of Despair, Black Waters, and Red Death, White Light. They've played a few of these songs live. They're really fun to sing along to. They work great, and they really help the transition to the new vocalist, Adam, who does a great job. Fits right in. Last, at least up to now, I hope it's not last. All right, we got Devouring Radiant Light. And this is their most recent album. I love this album. Again, it's an extension of what we saw on the Apothic Gloom. Longer, more exploratory songs. The first song on this is called Fen of Shadows. And I mean, it's, 7 to 9 minute long, just like epic melodic black metal track. I love it. I mean, I've listened to that song hundreds of times. It doesn't sound anything like Skeletonwitch's prior albums. And it's totally cool because it's something new and different. I mean, you can still tell it's the same band, but they've taken themselves in a new, brave direction. And it really landed well with me. Other standout tracks on here, When Paradise Fades, The Luminous Sky, and my favorite closing track on any of these albums, Sacred Soil. Again, the new vocalist, Adam Clemens, works out great on this album. It's like a good fit. Highly recommend this one as well. All right, now if I had to rank these, here's how I do it. Here's my rankings I'll just go number 1. Number 1, first up, Beyond the Permafrost. I mean, this is basically a perfect record. Excellent songs from start to finish, top to bottom. I love it. I love everything about this album. It's a perfect record for what it is. Next up, I'd go Serpents Unleashed. Again, an exceptional collection of tracks here. Every one of them is great. Skeletonwitch in their prime with their original vocalist. Fantastic. Third, Breathing the Fire. I mean, these guys were having a great time making this record. At least it sounds that way. Every track is excellent. As soon as you get to the end track, you just want to flip the record over and listen to it again. Breathing the Fire, number 3. I'll go Devouring Radiant Light next. I mean, the opening and closing tracks on this alone make this worth listening to. The whole concept that they came up with for this, it was new, it was brave, it was adventurous, and for the most part, it really worked well. Put number 4, Devouring Radiant Light. Next up, At One with the Shadows. The songs themselves are all just fantastic. I'll kind of concede that the raw production kind of gets in the way a little bit, but it's also part of the charm. Love these songs. They're fantastic. Last up, Forever Abomination. Still very good. Listen to it all the time. But something had to go last, so I guess I'll put this. All right. Let me know in the comments what I got wrong, how you would rank these albums. I want to see it, want to read it. Until next time.